Hi, my name is Mike Hasty, one of the co-founders of Growing Healthier Churches and a full-time pastor. And I wanted to share this video with you to give you a bit of an update of what we're up to, as well as what drives us. As a full-time pastor, the whirlwind of ministry is a real thing. And what I see and what we're hoping to help with it is churches who are feeling a little bit kind of lost in that kind of crazy rhythm of Sunday to Sunday, to step back and to see what God is doing in their churches, to take note of the fruitfulness of God's work among us, but also to have the intent of pursuing that fruitfulness. Now, churches have, or most churches have, a church management system of one sort or another, and our hope is to actually use the data that is sitting in those church management systems and often so underutilized, and be able to show that or present that data in meaningful ways to help people go, well, wait a second, is that what's happening in our church? We want to help churches ask sharper questions, to gather and rally around together to see the same thing and build robust narratives and even leadership conversations around what you think is happening and what the story you're telling yourself about your church, and combine that with some kind of objective view. Real-time metrics don't tell you the whole story of your church, but what we're hoping to do is catalyze a kind of culture of question asking, of accountability, of objectivity. And we're already seeing some great fruit of that as we help churches across the world. Let me give you a quick overview of where we're up to so far. And first of all, maybe just it will be helpful to sort of see the philosophy that we are using to build metrics, because as we use metrics, we are kind of already on the way to defining what is good and what you should be pursuing. And then we've had to make some base assumptions of how people use their church management system. So take, for example, this simple kind of infographic, this kind of pathway of what most churches would ascribe to, and that is you have new people who are kind of entering through the front doors of your church, or perhaps on the fringe of kind of some of your ministries. And what you're hoping is that they would find a way into your church and call it home and find Jesus and be a member of your church community. And when they become a member, that's an integration moment. And from that point onwards, I guess you'd want to see them being discipled, attending Sundays regularly, serving, giving, all that kind of stuff. And so we've put forward that philosophy into sort of 5 basic health gauges, and we can see that here as we show you now. This is our website, and when you log in and to my GHC, that's our kind of our member portal, you get a whole bunch of dashboards available. This is for an Elvanto setup at the moment, and if we clicked on open my toolkit here, we'll get these 5 health gauges, and they are the kind of representations of those 5 aspects of health that I just showed you in the infographic, from kind of how many visitors have come through the front door of your church to how many have stayed, and then once they become members, what's their regularity or their group? Are they part of a group or they're volunteering? And even kind of this number at the top here of just how many people actually call your church home. I've seen so many churches kind of bumble around kind of trying to find that number, and there's different versions of that number, and some churches are telling themselves they're a bigger church than they actually are, or whatever the case may be. We want to kind of just ground those conversations in some kind of objectivity so that everyone's looking at the same thing together. Now, all of our metrics can be split down to locations, demographics, and so you can have your kids minister looking at just your whole church, but just with kids, and kind of how many new kids are coming and how many kids are staying, all that kind of stuff. But beyond these 5 health gauges, once we've kind of catalyzed that kind of question of like, oh wow, I didn't realize that, or kind of actually here is an area in the whirlwind of ministry that we want to focus on this year. For instance, maybe the regularity has dropped because of COVID, and that's one thing you really want to lean into together. Well, start asking some bigger questions of actually what is the story of our regularity, and these strategic gauges under each health gauge allow you to kind of start digging a bit deeper, build that richer story, focus, and build kind of better lead actions out of that. What are you going to do to kind of try and lift that health gauge in that area? And we've got a strategic page for each of those health gauges. But then underneath those but sort of beyond those strategic pages, we have a whole bunch of pastoral pages, and they are more about kind of focusing on people, not just kind of strategy and trends, but actually people, and that weekly rhythm of pastoral ministry, kind of bringing some priority and focus to what's happening week to week. Beyond that kind of toolkit, that toolkit's kind of like our wheelhouse, the main kind of core dashboard. But underneath that, we've got a whole bunch of add-ons, whether you want to look at, what's your overall trend of growth or even decline over the last, 15 years or whatever the case may be, or even when are peak seasons of people coming to your church or leaving your church. That kind of meta narrative is so important to sort of be able to see together. For instance, if your church is plateauing, next could be decline. How are you going to arrest that? And is this a season to actually try and recapture a vision and relaunch, so that instead of decline, you would see growth again? All that kind of stuff, really drives us. And part of this is actually helping churches use their church management systems better, so they can have confidence in the data. As I said, we've got over 150 users across the world now. We've now released various features, like allowing team members in your leadership team or ministry team to be able to look at the dashboards together. And so you can, as a team administrator, add members to your GHC account, and so they can view the dashboards you've saved. We've now opened up payments and subscriptions to allow churches to access more advanced features like the add-ons, but also the Turbo, which is a feature we've been working on with Google Data Studio to allow all the rich data that we've brought in to be able to be accessed and filtered really quickly. So for example, the toolkit, which is our main dashboard, it loads up this fast whether you're a church of 100 or 5,000. And we really wanted to foster that kind of curiosity that allows you to quickly zoom into bits and kind of explore without having to wait quite a while for it to load up. And without the Turbo, it was taking quite a while to load. And so for instance, if I went to the visitor strategy page, straight up the data's there, and I want to go, okay, I'll look at that. There's more people coming to this service, and even this time of year, I can start filtering into that and then get a list of people there and look at how they're progressing through the integration platform or pipeline. But look, that's just one of the kind of things that we've been working really hard on to make this complex data accessible and to foster this sense of curiosity. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of an overview of what we're trying to do as we help churches to focus on health and growth. We're hoping to help churches be better users of their church management systems, simply because there's so much data there and it's so underutilized. We're already working with Elvanto users, Planning Center Online users. We'll build a couple more connectors next year to other church management systems, and we're going to continue working with church management consultants who often find it so hard to extract data out of churches. Well, we're here to say it's there in real time. We want churches to use that regularly as they work together in their leadership teams to see the same thing together and focus on health and growth. Hopefully this blesses many churches across the world, and I look forward to chatting to you more about this as it evolves. Thanks.